You're looking for Josh. What? You're looking for Josh. Oh. We weren't waiting. We weren't waiting.
Trying to set pictures. The kids are off. 16.
All right, we're ready to roll. We ready? Go ahead and call the USD 49 Board of Education meeting for Monday, November 27th to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Been moved by Board Member Schwartz, seconded by Board Member Lang. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is audience participation. And no takers. Moving on to the next item, which is Best of the Best Awards. The Best of the Best Awards are designed to recognize those students or staff that go above and beyond in every way. They truly are exemplary in their day-to-day activities. The winners receive a limestone plaque as well as a gift certificate from either Gutierrez or Gella's Diner, and they have been nominated by their peers. Our Student Best of the Best Award winner this month is Kenna Funensteel. Kenna was nominated by Sue, and I apologize if I butcher the name. We have Roos and Suanne Tebow, and I believe they may be here to share. Perfect.
Good evening. So why is Kenna Funensteel the best of the best? Last year, Kenna was a 9th grader in my life management class. Part of my curriculum deals with relationships. So I invited Christy Brungart, who is ahead of Jana's campaign, and her team to my classroom to visit with my students regarding relationships. Then they set up bystander intervention training for my students. Immediately after the training, Kenna came up to me and she said, "Mrs. Tebow, I love this stuff. I want to get more involved. What can I do to help?" So I discussed with Kenna what my plans would be for the next year, which is this year, and she then became even more excited and asked how she could help. So she has been right beside me the whole way throughout our bystander intervention training, along with Christy Brungar and her staff. So this year we had 2 full days of training. Christy Brungar and her staff came in and they put on 8 different sessions of the bystander intervention training for all the freshmen. Kenna volunteered to stay for all 8 of those trainings, and so she went and discussed with all of her teachers if it would be okay, what she was going to miss, and so she missed 2 straight days of classes just to be involved in all 8 of those trainings. Another thing that Kenna did that helped greatly, we wanted to provide every student with a Jana's Campaign t-shirt and a Jana's Campaign bracelet as well. And Kenna worked so diligently out in the community with community members. She went to multiple businesses. I couldn't even tell you how many phone calls she made to ask for donations so that every 9th grade student could in fact have a free t-shirt and a bracelet. And so she ended up getting enough donations for this year, and we even have a little bit of money left over for next year, so that when we do our training next year with our 9th graders, we'll have a little bit of a head start. So Kenna definitely has a strong desire to be the change that our society definitely needs today. Our bystander training teaches individuals how to recognize inappropriate behaviors, and it teaches them how to step up, step in if it's a safe situation, and try to intervene in the behavior and the situation. Keeping their safety in mind, students can direct, divert, or delegate to diffuse the unwanted situations. Kenna was definitely an integral part of the domestic violence trainings. Her positive guidance, her eagerness to learn and help, not only with helping with me, but all of my students as well, and along with her leadership abilities, it's just absolutely outstanding. And so thank you so much, Kenna. She's awesome. She's awesome.
If you want to come around, we'll shake your hand.
Where is he? Throwing me under the bus. Okay, and moving on to our Staff Best of the Best Award winner this month is Amy Wassinger, and Amy was nominated by Roberta Molstead, who is actually a parent in the district. And then, Sarah, was she here to say?
Yeah, she is in her
Okay,
signature.
perfect.
Okay, I'm kind of getting over being sick, so my voice is a bit raspy sounding. Amy Wassinger is absolutely the best of the best. She was my son Andrew's teacher for the past 2 years for 2nd and 3rd grade. Mrs. Wassinger said she was happy and excited to have Andrew and his service dog Pickles in her class. This was back when he was transitioning from 1st to 2nd grade, and as a parent of a child that has special needs, it was very much more stressful, and I worried a lot. And the last day of school, I was able to hear from the principal that the decision was made and that she was happy to have him. So I was able to put things at rest for the summertime. Anyways, that was in 2015, and so he entered 2nd grade. And when he received Pickles, Andrew has Pickles because of autism, and that's the big black deer, as they call it, that's running around back there. She was happy to help him and help him adjust, and just welcomed him in the class, which was just meant a lot, because you just have to love animals and you have to love children with special needs. And we were so fortunate that she was willing to take that on. She also was willing to take time out of her own job and her own personal time to develop a real interest and develop a relationship with Andrew to help him be more successful. This is really important for him to do well in school. So during the summer, we met at the library, and she played trains with him and blocks. So you probably saw some of the fun pictures that I sent in. And then she just took time out to go for ice cream and just build that relationship. So his first days of school went better. She always went above and beyond to help Andrew be included. She always went out of her way to help him feel loved. Andrew developed leaps and bounds with her. He looked forward to going to school every single day to see Mrs. Wassinger. She has even taken time out of her own schedule to see Andrew, like I said, for going for ice cream, meeting at the school even in the summer so he could become familiar with the classroom and know where he would be and where his desk would be and where Pickles has an enormous bed, where it would be, and got all those kinks worked out to ease his anxiety. We've also gone to the Menor Park, and she's played with him there. Andrew even built a car track for her one time, and she took time to stop by and look at the car track that he built for her. And they also have the same shoes. They are Autism Puzzle Pieces shoes that he really likes her to wear. They're matching shoes. Amy was always positive about Andrew. Always, even if it was a bad day, she was positive, and she always found the positive in it. She took time to ask him what was bothering him. We were so blessed to have a wonderful, caring teacher who took on Andrew's challenges and turned them into positive experiences. I honestly can't say enough about Mrs. Wassinger. Thank you for all you do. Even though Mrs. Wassinger isn't even Andrew's teacher this year, Andrew's in 4th grade, she still sees him, and he usually gives her a hug in the hallway, and on his really rough days, he doesn't want to go to school. She'll even come out and meet him at the van, and that happened this morning after the long break, and he wouldn't go in, and he was crying for Mrs. Wassinger, so I sent a message to her and asked her if she would possibly be able to come out to the van, and sure enough, here she came, and he walked in with her. And so I just, and then Andrew wrote at the end, "I love you, Andrew," because he kind of helped me with this too. So that's it. So thank you.
Once again, congratulations to Kenna and Mrs. Wassinger, and thanks again to our sponsors on that. Next item on the agenda is communications from other organizations, and the first item we have is the Fort Hays State University Ellis County Teacher Tuition Assistance Master's degrees.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
It's been a great partnership, though, with Fort Hays and USC 49, and I know John, who is sick tonight, he really was probably going to turn it over to Dr. Lynn, Dennis King, and Marty Straub. If they'll come forward, they can fill you in on how the process started and where we're at. Attached is a memorandum of agreement. They'll highlight some of that. This is just for information for the board tonight. We will ask you to ask questions if you have them, and then take action at another time in December. So go ahead.
Probably about a year and a half ago, we started talking with Fort Hays State University and about what we can do to give more incentive and help USD 49, not only at the high school, but really at all levels, to become highly qualified in their content and strengthen their own teaching standards. But ultimately, there was a changeover at the university, and so we had to kind of slow down just a little bit. And Andy Tompkins and really these two gentlemen behind me, really I deserve most, if not all, the credit, because their leadership is why this thing moved forward. They knew who to contact, when to contact them, the right thing to say. But generally, we have 2 years ago, for example, at Hays High School, we had 12 retirements or resignations. And many of those people did have masters and were able to do concurrent credit. we need to look forward. So when I am gone, when Joey is gone, when John Thisson is no longer with USD 49, we don't know how long that's going to be. We need to leave our district and that relationship between Fort Hays State University and USD 49 in better shape than when we got it. And we think that this really can help with that. The program basically is an idea that Joey came up with as I was late for a meeting and I had to walk in on knees begging forgiveness. Came up in a discussion as to what would be helpful. And obviously, over the tough times the last several years that from the state legislature with reduced funding for USD 49, we really did have fewer teachers going out and seeking graduate hours. And so obviously the cost of that is cost prohibitive sometimes. One 3-hour class can cost as much as $800+ at the graduate level. We really do have a desire to increase our concurrent agreements with Fort Hays State University, but we have to have people that are qualified according to Higher Learning Commission standards. And so it really started there. Joey and Dennis, Dr. Joey Lynn, Vice President for Student Affairs, and Dennis King, Director of Virtual Learning at Fort Hays State University, they said, well, let's draw something up and bat it back and forth. We had a few emails back and forth on some revisions, and what we came up with and was approved by legal counsel at Fort Hays State University and President Andy Tompkin is what you have before you. But these guys really made it happen. We think it's a good thing, not just for teachers at the high school, middle school, and elementary, but it's good for kids because our teachers become more knowledgeable in the area, teaching and content, and that's what they do every day. And if we can help them do more of that and get better, then our students will learn more and get better also. Gentlemen, you're welcome to say whatever you'd like to or take questions.
I just think we have a very strong school district, USD 49. We got a strong university. We need to work together more and more and more. So this was an idea that we came up with when we talked about concurrent enrollment faculty. The more we talked about it, the more we thought, if it's good for the high school faculty that are looking at potentially teaching concurrent enrollment, why don't we do it for all faculty in the district? That way, everyone has access to a master's degree, and if we put in a scholarship of 75, and if the district would be willing to match it, all of a sudden, when you look at what the faculty member has to pay, it makes it very, very affordable for them to do that. And on the flip side also, I think that it'll help USD recruit faculty to say, if you don't have a master's, we can help with this program. And I personally think it's an absolute no-brainer. Who wouldn't, if you don't have a master's, take us up on it? Because if you decide to take your master's on campus, it's about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. We would pay 1/3, you would pay 1/3, and the student would pay 1/3. If they do it virtually, it's the student would have a little more skin in the game, but still a great deal. So I want to thank Dennis King, my Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, him and I did a lot of brainstorming, and we took it to our Vice President for Administration and Finance. Dennis talked to the deans, very important to make sure they're on board, the graduate school and all that. So we're excited about the partnership. We hope you are too, and we're here to answer any questions you may have.
So just to be clarified, so this would be, for example, we want to offer history for concurrent credit, but somebody could work on 18 hours or do a master's in history, or how's that?
The Higher Learning Commission, which is a standard that Fort Hays State University has to answer to, the person has to have a master's degree in the field they'll be teaching concurrent credit, or a master's field in a related area, and 18 graduate credits in the area that they'd be teaching. We have some folks close, but we really need to focus on our younger teachers too. You know, hopefully they'll be around for a while, but if they do, and my teacher A, who's doing concurrent 9 hours, we need that person to have a backup. It's like having a plan B. It's really important for us to be ready to help the kids. This has nothing to do with the people that are teaching now. We're doing it. I believe that Fort Hays State University and Hays High are very, very happy with the relationship, but we can grow that by growing our own teachers too. So.
Yeah, and I just in the top, if you read the verbiage, it does talk about the 18 credit hours. So if there is someone in the school district would identify that it doesn't have to be degree seeking, but if they just may need that credential in that area, and so this would allow for that as well.
Okay. So question maybe for Marty here is there you hear from parents that would like to have more concurrent credit
Yes.
And what areas?
Well, we have talked to Fort Hays State University. I hate to even talk about possible areas, but ag science, we have reached an agreement that we absolutely have a person that's very qualified to do that, and we'll be looking forward to doing that in the future. We've talked about sociology. We do sociology for concurrent credit now, but it could be offered through Fort Hays State University, and we're waiting to work some more on that. I don't want to say a lot about that because we're doing that elsewhere right now. We also feel there's some areas in other humanity areas that we could also teach there. We have some areas that we have had some retirements in that we're not able to offer. For example, Chem 2, we can offer Chem 2 perhaps, but not for concurrent credit because I really don't have a person that's highly qualified in that area according to the HCL standards.
And I compliment you for pursuing more of this. I was reviewing some of the research in this area. Concurrent credit, U.S. Department of Education did research, and having concurrent credit helps retain students when they enter into college, which I believe fits well with part of what the PISA standards have with the district's responsibility to track those students to do successfully. So this is a good thing for us to have good turnout of our students to be successful once they leave us at the district.
You know, and the Regions has done us some good, and everybody some good, by having classes that are accepted across the Regents universities too. That used to be a very difficult game to decide whether college algebra from Hays High through Fort Hays State University would be accepted when they went to Kansas State University. I experienced that with my own daughters, and it was really very difficult to decide whether they should or shouldn't take certain classes for concurrent credit because it wasn't across the board yes or no. There's more standardization now, less wasting of money on the part of parents, more saving of money on the part of parents because unfortunately tuition has had to go up over time. But I just really appreciate working with Fort Hays State University, and just when you go to the meeting with these two guys, you better be ready to make progress because that's what we've been able to do. Every time we sat down and talked about this, it wasn't, should we do this? It's how can we do this? How can we get it done? And what does it need to look like in the end? And sometimes you have to start something knowing that we may revise down the end, and we might revise down the end. That's okay. We know that this is good for our kids, good for our staff, and I really absolutely appreciate Joey reminding me it really can be a positive thing when we're talking to a person who maybe has started their master's and just has lost the ambition that are interesting to come to teach in USD 49. A wonderful, wonderful promotion for our district.
Will this also help if we get some people to look towards counseling?
Yeah, I was going to mention that it is more than that concurrent credit because
Oh, yeah.
some of those hard to fill positions, I think our counseling, our ESOL endorsement, which helps all kids when you have that understanding of the student population, special ed at this point is a master, it really will give us opportunities and help our teachers fill some of those hard to fill positions. So I'm excited about getting started with it.
I think the wording is in there for both. Obviously, I've got concurrent on the brain, but
No, it's,
yes,
It's
sir.
much broader based.
Yes, sir.
And for elementary, it could be a focus on curriculum instruction, reading specialists, those sorts of areas.
That's why when we talked about concurrent, we thought there's all sorts of needs. So let's open it up to the district. And I would say our next visits, for anybody watching, we're going to go to TMP, Ellis, and Victoria because we want this to be an Ellis County opportunity. So we're going to go to them next to make sure to see if they're interested as well.
Thank you for all your
Very good.
efforts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess if you have questions, let John know, we can follow up because it will be action in December on the agenda.
Very good. Next item is the National Honor Society and Student Council Holiday Help Project. I think we have some representatives from here, them to go over.
Hello. I have with me a couple of outstanding young representatives from Hays High School. We have Zach Wagner, who is the president of National Honor Society, and we have Dusty Schneider, who is vice president of our student council. And they're going to describe how our holiday help project this year has undergone a bit of a change.
So this year, Stuco and National Honor Society have paired up to help the student body and families around Hayes High by donating different items for the project.
Yeah, put it over top of the arrows. Up. Yeah, there you go. The down arrow. No, no, there you go.
Sorry.
So, the Holiday Help Project falls under the service pillar of National Honor Society, and it will also help with this year's chapters project. The Holiday Help Project will distribute needs for families such as groceries, household goods, clothing, and toys. And this year, the Stuco and the student body will be collecting non-grocery items.
So part of our reason for doing this is that, like it says up there, approximately 47% of our school district struggles with financial issues. And so this year we would like to expand from just the groceries to more of like your practical items that are offered this year. We also think that it'll also get more out to the student body instead of just the National Honor Society, and we can cover a larger spread of kids this year. The rules for this has to be all new items. The monetary value or the monetary donations have to be given straight to the teachers. They cannot show, if it's like clothing, it cannot have any inappropriate references such as profanity, drugs, alcohol. It will happen during seminar through the 27th of November to December 15th, and the kids can decorate their collection boxes if needed or if wanted. It's not required. The lists vary, and that'll come up on another slide, but those are the rules at the moment.
So how does the Holiday Help Project work? First, families are selected by Hayes High administration and guidance counselors, and then once those families are selected, a wish list by those families will be generated and given to Hayes High. Next, we, as National Honor Society, will create basic grocery list items in which National Honor Society members will go and get those items. And then when our winter concert comes around, for admission, guests are welcome to bring canned food items as a way to get in. And then we will do shopping for all gift items, and then we will wrap and organize them, and then Mr. Straub and other faculty as needed will deliver these items to the families. So it's a little big, but so this week seminars will be starting to collect their grocery items, their non-grocery items, and then also National Honor Society officers will be contacting local businesses throughout the community. We have about 60 that we're looking to contact for donations, whether it be monetary donations or gifts type items. And then next week, National Honor Society members are welcome to start bringing their grocery items to the school, and then we will start organizing our grocery items on the 13th, and then we will be doing our shopping for our gift items on the 16th of December, and then as we move down, we'll be wrapping and organizing the gifts as well on the 17th of December, and then on the 20th, we will start to deliver the items, and if the 21st is needed, we will deliver them then as well.
Okay, so we have to zoom back in. So those are our categories. Starts with like squeaky clean, sweater weather, groom the Grinch, Santa's workshop, cooking with Mrs. Claus, snuggle up snow day, white Christmas, and deck the halls. Each department at Hayes High has a different category. So say like the English department has a certain one and so forth. Each one has some of the same items on it and some different ones, like Groom the Grinch and Squeaky Clean are very close to each other. They both have hygiene products, thank you, Zach, as well as Squeaky Clean has like your cleaning products for your house. Some other ones have like toilet paper, things we take for granted that we don't always think about every day, but they are still needs for families in need. And a lot of them also have blankets and things like that, toothbrushes. The NHS and the Stuco members are giving their time and effort into doing this. It also is the support of the Hayes High staff, the local businesses, and the I can't say that word. Say that, Zach, please.
Ministerial.
Thank you. Alliances.
What do we get out of this project? Basically, the student body comes together with this project. I mean, it used to be just a National Honor Society thing where National Honor Society members would go out and get these items for these families. But we've kind of made it a school-wide thing. So not only is the student body helping fellow students, but we're coming together as a whole. The best thing about it is the families and the students are anonymous. So we're hoping to gain an understanding of how each can make a great difference in the community, and hope that students can become aware of that as they move through high school and are ready to move on to college.
So how can you guys help? This would be great if you could spread the word about what we are doing to your friends and coworkers, about donations or other things. None of us know when we will be in this position, and if we are in this position, it would be nice to know that there will be someone there to help you out and to help other people out. One big thing you could do is donate and encourage others to donate. Money, non-perishable food items, coupons, gift cards, services, repairs for certain things that need done around houses, and you can contact Hayes High with that number, which I'm sure you all have Hayes High's phone number, and that can get us your help.
So the big and urgent needs for this year are beds and warm bedding. Some families don't have heat or hot water, so sometimes a warm bed is the best thing that we can do for them at this time. Also, a queen size bed. This will be for a different family, won't be for the same one. We need two stoves and ovens, a microwave, a vacuum cleaner, and Christmas decorations as well. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact Dusty or I with questions, or any of the sponsors for Stuco and National Honor Society, which are listed below. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, well, first I want to compliment you both for bringing together and making a school base. As we move into the accreditation, part of it is civic learning and civic responsibility, and you, through your leadership, is exemplifying at the school, and I better not forget your advisor's leadership back there, and also with Mr. Traub. And to help you, I've got a donation if you're ready to take it right now to help you out. Don't turn it down. Here you go. So I want to help you out. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you. My final comment is, I know with my officers as well as my other Stuco officers, one of the biggest reasons we wanted to do this is because there's so many things that we take for granted that people in our school don't have. There's people in our school that go home hungry. There's people in our school that go home and they don't have the right clothing, or they don't have heat in their house. And those are little things that, they just come with a house, and they come with being, a human being. But some people don't have them, and that's one thing that hit us pretty hard. And we wanted to make sure that no one has to go through that right now, especially during this time of giving and family. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for everything you've done.
You're sharing those attributes and those characteristic traits with other students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Nice job, guys. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Hayes Recreation Commission meeting agendas and minutes. If anybody has any questions on those are attached. Moving on to school spotlights, and Assistant Superintendent Shanna Dinkle is going to fill in for John tonight with him being gone. She'll go over the accomplishments and things like that for student and staff.
You bet. The first two really deal with our strong tradition of music here at Hayes. The first ones are really state honors from KMEA for high school band members. Miranda Berner, second chair flute. Cameron Carlene, second chair oboe. Ashley Belazin, first chair clarinet. Abby Kennemer, first chair trumpet. Corey Isbell, eighth chair trombone. And then Spencer Wickhorn, percussion. There's no chairs assigned. So congratulations to those band members. And then we have 38 high school students who are recognized at the state level with honors for the KMEA choir, and those are Eric Adams, Brett Bowles, Caitlin Engel, Madison Carleen, Nathan Liker, Hannah McGuire, Taya Randall, Kayla Satomi, Dalen Vaughn, Zach Wise, Sierra Adkins, Elena Buller, Brittany Espinoza, Adam Klossmeyer, Lucy Lynn, Courtney Munch, Emily Ricky, Levi Smith, Alexis White, Paige Samersneck, Rebecca Anderson, Garrett Cole, Hayden Giebler, Shelby Noel, Madison Listman, Aaron Muirhead, Dawson Rooney, Cade Swain, Ryan Will, Alicera Ariel, Ian Dexter, Michael Hernandez, Caitlin Liker, Taylor Labata, Brittany Park, Carrie Satomi, Kason Unsworth, and Ethan Wyatt. As I read through that list earlier, I recognized a lot from the musical program. So if you attended the musical, obviously those were some key people, students in the musical. I know last time we recognized some Midwest Energy Grant recipients. We have more of those to name, all coming from Hayes High. We actually had, through DECAS, 2 students, Lisa Schoenberg and Caitlin Shaven. They wrote a 1,000 grant. They're going to be working on a project here in January for human trafficking, so that's a wonderful wonderful project. Michelle Thacker and Jolene Winholtz, they work with our Helping Hands program, which has a long history, over 20 years here in the district. They wrote a grant of $1,000 and were awarded it to help fund the Prom for Everyone project. There was a little bit of publicity that went out, I think on Hayes, some of the different media outlets, but basically Hayes High and the Helping Hands are collecting formal attire for students who may not be able to afford something formal for prom this year. So it was featured on Eagles Community Connection, but if anyone has any items to donate, check out Hayes High's website. They have more details about what they can accept and what not, but that's awesome that they received that grant. Michelle Thacker, also with the Family and Consumer Science, she's the teacher there at Hayes High. She received a $500 grant. She'll be purchasing aging kits that will be used to provide students with the perspective of what it's like to get older. So that sounds like a neat project as well.
It's not great.
I'm not sure how much older means, but. And then another foundation award. This is actually funded through the Dane G. Hansen Community Fund, but it was the Heartland Foundation that granted over $5,000 for Julie Zollinger. This is neat because it's a partnership with the private and public schools. Julie Zollinger, a school psych here in our district, and Teresa Clark, Holy Family TMP psychologist counselor. They're going to attend a week-long training and work with those who created a prepare curriculum for crisis situations. They will learn lots of things you can see listed there. Julie's on our crisis team here for the district, and Teresa as well for the private school. They'll learn all types of things about mental health roles during a crisis, how to address trauma and recovery, and then they will be able to attend a training of the trainer's workshop of this curriculum, and then they'll be able to come back and train their peers in school safety and crisis preparation techniques. So we're really excited about that. The Prepare curriculum has a long history of being effective, and it's known nationwide. So thank you to Sarah Wassinger, too, who helped write the grant. I know she was super excited when we got word of it as well. And then also, we got a little taste of it with the Stuco and the National Honor Society. We do have so many families in need in our community, so we want to thank Alpha Delta Kappa. They're an international honorary organization for women educators. They donated $300 here recently to the 489 Hope Pantry, and it will be used to purchase hygiene products, clothing, food for families in need throughout the district. So that's a pantry that we keep stocked here in the district office. They've supported the pantry since it began in 2015, and they've made a great difference. So we truly, truly appreciate their donations as well as the community. I know, Sarah, I believe there was an article about that, so you received quite a few, a lot of support from the community, so we want to thank everyone for that. As far as more honors, this is with our football players. These are Hayes High football players who were named to the All-WAC team, All-League team. So Dante Blackman, first team lineman, Hunter Brown, first team skill player, Dylan Schmidberger, first team defensive lineman, Palmer Hutchison, first team defensive linebacker, Logan Clark, second team special player, Logan Schulte, second team defensive line, and Keaton Marquez, second team defensive back. So congratulations to them and for their hard work this season. If you missed it, we did have a chamber ribbon cutting at Hayes High. The Coffee Grounds Coffee House is housed there in the media center. It's officially open for business. It's, again, Helping Hands project. We talked about that group earlier. Both the students involved in Helping Hands really run this business. They do the bakery shop as well, but have now added this as part of their class curriculum and programming. So any proceeds from Coffee Grounds benefits future scholarship opportunities for Hayes High students. So we congratulate the students and staff who helped get that up and running. I believe it's Gold Days they're open, but if you'd like some coffee, stop by. They'd be happy to serve you. Another Hope Pantry, just some pictures here. 52 boxes of food were delivered for families in need over this past Thanksgiving holiday break. So a lot of work went into that. They received a $1,000 grant from the Heartland Community Foundation, and then again, community support. Fort Hays also hosted Make a Difference project that benefited the pantry. So in working with those groups, the ADK, which we talked about earlier, there were 35 boxes that we were able to prepare last year, and we were able to increase that to 52. You can see, though, right after that, it talks about how 58 were actually requested. I know we put out an email and asked for names of families in need, so we were 6 short, but it sounds like the Hayes High School and Hayes Middle School pantries were able to take care of those remaining 6 families. So we were able to reach out to all of those that the names we received. So again, thank you to all who helped. They were distributed for the Thanksgiving break. And then I don't think I can do justice to what the National Honor Society and Student Council members just did with their winter project. So those are the spotlights.
Very good. Any questions for Shanna? Okay. And we'll keep the report of the Assistant Superintendent.
Yeah, there you go. John did want me to mention, I was not able to be there. Danielle, you might be able to speak to this, but he attended the Glassman Career Fair, which was right before the break for area high schoolers, and what a great opportunity for a local business industry to offer that and have some first-hand experience with our students. So
yeah, we were glad that he could come. Chris Dinkle actually brought quite a few students with him, and they attended last year.
Yeah.
It was their second year doing it, but it's always good just for them to get the skilled trades experience. I know a lot of schools tend to focus more maybe on a 4-year
college,
and not all students are looking for that or interested in that. So we highlight plumbing, mechanical, a lot of technologies involved in HVAC that a lot of students don't realize until they come out and see just how computerized it can be.
Right.
But we hope to do it every year, and maybe even work with Next Tech in the future.
Yeah, we talked last time when we had an overview of the new accreditation, just how post-secondary and how there's more than one path, and the individual plans of study and getting kids out there to know what's available.
NCK Tech came and they were involved in the day as well. Fort Hays came out and talked too, so awesome. It's a really collaborative effort with everyone in the community.
Yeah. Well, great. I know that it was nice.
I could not convince John to get on the skid steer. I tried.
I bet you did.
He just wasn't interested.
Wednesday, we'll have building reps for our district leadership team, and we'll work on plans for the needs assessment. Again, back to that accreditation year 1 that we're in here as a district. And then winter activities begin at Hayes High. The shootout starts Thursday, so it'll be a busy weekend for them. I know the girls basketball at the middle schools already started, but the winter activities will be in full gear soon. And then KASB conference this weekend. So Sophia will be attending, as will Paul and John. So I'm sure they'll share when they get back. That's all I have.
Very good. Any questions for Shanna on the report? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is the financial report. Tracy?
Yes. Attached is the financial report from October. Only a few things I would like to point out. On page 5, some new exceptions we have. On page 5, you'll see exception number 2, that we are over budget on the classified salaries at Rockwell, our central office. We have had a lot of overtime. As you all know, there's been a lot of changes and things going on, and so we are over budget on our overtime in that line. hoping it will calm down in the spring and we get back on target, but we'll have to absorb that elsewhere in the budget if it would stay that way. We are watching it though, definitely. On page 8, on budget, or excuse me, exception number 7 and 8, you'll see that we are over budget on several of the special ed, the smaller schools, Holy Family, La Crosse, Victoria, some of those. We have only a few personnel in those locations, so if a student would move in or if their needs would increase and we have to increase the paraeducators' hours or something like that, it's always going to show up as over budget just because we have so few staff there. So Raj is fully aware of those and watches those as well. But I just wanted to point out they are starting to show up. Not a great deal of money, but they are over the 3% over.
And we don't have options. It's all directed by the IEP teams.
Right. Overall, we are over 6.5% under budget. We've spent 23.9% so far, and 30.5% has been allotted. And then on capital outlay, the only thing I wanted to point out, down to real quick, is you'll see this negative on the principal allocations of what's been spent. It just kind of stood out since it was a negative. That was actually a reimbursement that we received this year for purchases we made last year. So it is a negative in that line. We've spent $1.26 million on capital outlay, and we have $3.76 budgeted. So everything's going very smoothly there. We should be receiving our big distribution into capital outlay here in January. Are there any questions I can answer?
I think so. Thanks, Tracy. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda to include the approval of the board meeting minutes for November 13th, 2017, the approval of bills in the amount of $430,446.41, personnel transactions, and financial reports to include the clerk's report and investment report. I would entertain a motion for those.
So moved that we approve the consent agenda with the items identified.
Been moved by Board Member Adams, seconded by Board Member Schwartz. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is the no-fund warrant account.
Yeah, we talked about this the last time, but you actually have to take action to transfer that money, so you're closing the no-fund warrant account and transferring the remaining balance to capital outlay, and Tracy has an estimate there.
There is a little under $22,400 currently in the no-fund warrant account. I left that vague on purpose just in case we would get any further delinquent taxes in, so we have your authority to go ahead and transfer it. But we will transfer any balance in that fund to capital outlay, and then the fund will be officially closed this year. I worked with Craig Noonschwander at KSDE on the wording, and if you would entertain it, if you would read the motion just as it states, that would be the way they would like it read.
On option 1.
On option 1, if you would, please.
So, maybe.
I move.
Do I need to marge it? Sorry, for us old people.
I was finding it, sorry.
That's what I was just doing.
I move that the no-fund warrant is no longer necessary for the purpose for which it was intended, and the balance in the account be transferred to the capital outlay fund.
Okay, been moved by Board Member Fox.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Lang.
Should we amend that to include any future monies deposited into that account as well?
If you would like to, that would be fine.
I would amend my motion to include that any future dollars deposited in that account also be transferred to capital outlay as well.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Motion was amended and then moved by Board Member Fox and seconded by Board Member Lang. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is the special education update. I think Dr. Raj Sharma will give us some information on that.
Good evening. What we have here is some updates throughout what we have done in the past few months. Let's see. Okay. If you look at our next thing that we have right here, okay. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Good. This is our SPED resource fair that we talked about. Of course, this shows the collaboration that we have with different organizations. It started with our parent organization, the advisory council that we have. We have board members, we have our parents, we have teachers as part of this council. And you can see the 10 different organizations were part of it, and there was a good collaboration that we saw district-wide. And our plan is to have this kind of resource fair not just in like one time a year, but we try to look at different opportunities. Like one could be a kindergarten roundup. Other could be, our enrollment that we have, a centralized enrollment. That time we have access to more parents. The goal is that our parent or our community member, they need to be aware of our resources that we have in our community. So that's, again, it was a successful event where we saw parents coming in, where we saw different community agencies coming in and collaborating with schools. There's some good news that of course but I know as part of what we are doing right now. Kyle, he received the award for innovation in more or less Edna Harrison Pioneer Award. The stuff that he does for our school district, the co-op, part of the job is not just school psych. He's our positive behavior support coordinator, and that's unique. The position is unique, and what he does is unique. So, I was there when they kind of announced, and they did all the stuff, and one thing they mentioned is his position. So that is very crucial that our folks are going and thinking out of the box, doing things that's unique. Next one is Lindy and Mavis from a Star Classroom. The criteria that we have for this golden apple, kind of every quarter we have different criteria. The first one we had was innovation, and if you look at innovation, what they did with the star, it's an innovation. It's a space design that's well known throughout the state, and it was part of the national news as well. As we're going through a star, please keep them in your thoughts and prayer. They are going through a tough time right now. Keen is our, that's the next one. Lindy, Amy, and myself, we're going to present. That's a closed group. It's a Kansas Exemplary Education Network, and we're going to be presenting like 3 different topics in there. One is going to, of course, the star is one, the space design up there. Flexible classroom is the other one, and then mindfulness that we're going to be highlighting up there. We're presenting to an audience represented from throughout the Kansas. Next one that we have is Midwest Energy Grant recipient, Tasha, and congratulations, she received the grant, and of course they're going to be using it in the classroom. There's some compliance updates that you have. Of course, our KSD does compliance for IEP every 3 years, and part of it last year, Hayes and Victoria was part of the cycle. This year, Ellis and La Crosse was in the cycle, and our 4 district, they meet the 100% compliance from KSD. So that's part of the hard work and dedication that our educator does throughout the classroom. And IEP is very crucial. I mean, it's a legal document, and how we do what we do is dictates our policies. Next one, we have some social emotional initiative and how we did. You heard from Kyle. He came and talked about foundation. Foundation is something that started last year, and the basic term, what is foundation? It's all about expectation. expectation in a setup, like, if you look at our playgrounds, a lot of unstructured stuff. But if what our staff is learning is a structure on those unstructured setup. That's why those expectations are there. Our teacher, I'll give you my own example. My son, he's playing at one side. What is happening, sometime as an adult, it's common. You cannot be socializing up there. But part of this foundation, they're talking about expectation in the playground. Expectation not just from the students, from adults as well. And that's the key. And expectation in the hallways, expectation in the classroom. And of course, we are doing in Hayes and Ellis is supported by the KSDE through a $75,000 grant. There is all the trainings are free, and some of the material that we are getting, that's kind of part of it as well. And this is something that's and every school have a building team, and they are kind of like doing phenomenal job. It's a dedication, and I think our Hayes and Ellis both are putting a lot of resources. Safe team, that's another team that we have that works on tier 2 and tier 3. So you have students on different tiers, and what we have seen that now our folks are talking about a behavior plan, a structure, and we're talking about the follow-ups, and that's a crucial piece with this team. Of course, once we have foundation up and running, it's a 5-year process. We may or may not need the safe team, but until we have that, safe is crucial piece. Some of the updates that we have, these are the new committees you can see, like curriculum and leadership. What we're doing up there is working on our policies. Our policies and procedures are old. It's a 10-year-old at this point in time. So we are looking as a group. We have teachers, we have our therapists, we are psychs, they are part of it. So we are working every month, updating the process. We are looking at the MTSS structure. So we are working throughout on that side of it. And of course, right now it's a co-op-wide, so it's not just Hayes. We have all 4 district private schools, they are part of it. Another initiative that we have is trauma-informed committee. When we look at, we just heard the impact of positivity from our best of the best, teacher today, talking about, so what we're going to do this year, our goal is to, plan and put a structure. We had a training that's done by Trauma Smart agency from Kansas City. She came in and trained all the staff from the co-op, but that's initial training. It's more or less a trauma sensitivity this point in time, but our goal is to have a structure set up for next 5 years, how we're going to approach, how our building is going to be trauma informed. It's going to need some policy, it's going to need some procedure, not just training. So that's a different level. That's our goal that we have up there. Our SPED advisory committee, you saw the special needs resource fair, that's coming in from them. You saw last year the autism day, that's again a suggestion, recommendation that came from the team. So this is very crucial with our vision and how we move forward up there. Project Search, last week we had a presentation. This is for our 1% low incidence students who are juniors, seniors in high school. Okay. Right now, if you look at overall employment rate, is around 20%. So once they graduate, they kind of maintain employment around like 20%. With Project Search that we have in 17 schools in Kansas and around like 100 schools nationwide. It started in Ohio, but what we talked about, the success rate is 70%. So if you're talking about low incidence classroom and the employment sustainability, right now it's at 20. From 20 to 70, we are kind of looking into the Project Search. We have a steering committee who is working on it, and of course it's going to process. Of course it's going to take some time, but we'll keep giving you updates how we go and the way we move forward. Next one is Paraeducator Trainers Committee. This is a committee from across the co-op. We have teachers from private school public schools, you take like our 4 district, and they are the one taking the lead. And they are the one, so we sent Lindy last year to Portland. She came back and she's a trainer for 8 different districts, not just us. So she's trainer of the trainer. So it's part of the region 8 that we have in special ed. Now she trained our staff, so all the trainers in our buildings, and they are kind of leading their own buildings. So this is a crucial piece, what we do with our paraeducators. You know, sometimes you have a staff, you see the low ways, no training. This is very crucial for us to move forward. I think it's, I'm positive, and we are moving in a very positive direction up there. The one thing that we're going to change next year that I think our board should know is our low incidence program. This point in time, we have a star classroom in both Wilson and Roosevelt. Moving forward, Wilson, the suggestion and recommendation that came from the team and schools that if we have all the resources at one school, is going to be beneficial for our students, is going to be beneficial for our parents, the community. So we have decided to move our applied academics, that are higher level class from Wilson to Roosevelt. So now Roosevelt is going to have all 3 star classes. And slowly we are kind of transitioning, and our parents are going to be involved in the process. This is another form we have just worked on. So it is for anybody who is kind of coming into our classroom for classroom observation. We are in a college town. We get a lot of requests for classroom observation. So this form is going to be universal. It's going to be used across the board. So that's all I have. If you have any question, I'm here for you.
The confidential agreement you had up there, is that for like interns or any sped students maybe at the university?
Yeah, anyone who is not for the interns, we have like MOU. So the memorandum of agreement we have for interns. Right. But someone who is just coming for like a short-term observation for a day. In that point in time, at least they're coming in, they're signing those stuff. Yeah.
Sometimes it's like research projects.
Yeah.
Things like that, and then example I can think of.
Yeah. If they need to observe a teacher for a day, and write some observation based on that. So.
Okay. All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Classified Handbook.
Yeah, I know Tracy can share that. See the updates and agreements that were negotiated upon, and then just some change updates to practice.
Right. Typically, after negotiations, we update the Classified Handbook to match what occurred through the other negotiations. So the first section, the first part is a summary of the changes, and then the full document follows. But just clarifying, taking out some of the limitations on the health insurance that was agreed upon. On the sick leave, this has been our practice, is that if somebody is on unpaid leave status, that they do not receive their vacation and sick leave on July 1st. This is just clarifying it and putting some dates in there. That was also agreed upon with the SEIU group. So we just wanted to follow that same language here in the Classified Handbook. The personal leave was negotiated through excuse me, HMEA, that an employee may use up to 2 additional sick days as personal days after their 4 have been exhausted. It's only on a special circumstance. It does have to be approved by their superintendent, their supervisor, principal, and the superintendent. And then there's a form that they'll have to complete to request those days. Under the vacation, it's the same language as in the sick leave, just specifying that if they are on unpaid leave status, that they will not receive those days. They will be prorated accordingly. Just a couple quick changes on salary, clarifying on the Section 125 provider On the tax sheltered annuities, taking out gatekeeper, we don't utilize them anymore, and it was just a specific company. Our personnel records are now held electronically, so we just clarified that as well. And under the accident section, we did add First Care Clinic as an alternate provider for our work comp claims. There was oftentimes that our first one was not available, whether their physicians were busy or whatever. So we are working with First Care Clinic also as a substitute, so we can utilize that as well versus having to send people to the emergency room if a doctor's not available. Under the hazard accident reporting, we removed TextCaster. We are not using that program any longer. And under the transportation request, again, everything we do is online now, so just updating that. And I think John mentioned that we will bring the administrator handbook back to you guys at a later date. The principals wanted to review that a little bit more and make sure that our practices are following what's in that agreement also.
Right, well, we have that on the admin agenda here in December, and then we'll have a sign-off signature page so that everyone understands what's in those handbooks.
Very good. Any other questions on that? Okay. Next item is discussion by board members and agenda requests. Anything? Tons. Okay, and I don't think we need an exec session, so I think we were good to go. Meeting is adjourned.